Well, folks, put another feather in the cap, another arrow in the quiver that makes Disney shiver. It turns out we were exactly right here on this channel with a 48-hour scoop that they were planning to hide the new Snow White trailer on YouTube, only releasing it before Wicked. But there's a wicked amount of money that Disney is trying to recoup for this film, and apparently Zegler makes them feel they'll never do it. What are we talking about? Well, Snow White needs $1 billion. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the place that continues to change hearts and minds simply by telling the truth. Today, we're happy to do so. We will be in a bit of speculation territory as we work to figure out the numbers, but folks, do not fret, not yet, for we will be bringing you all of the data so that you can make your own decision about how accurate we are or are not. Today, we're going to be talking about how hot the box office is going to have to be for Snow White to recoup its losses. We're talking about $1 billion. And when we talk about $1 billion, you can understand why Snow White, why Disney, and why the theaters even are very happy to keep her off YouTube. All right, folks, here we go. Geek Tyrant is the article here, and it's by Joey Power. And you'll notice that the chyron down at the bottom where the text continues to scroll, it does not say what this article says. And that's because we're going to break down where this article goes wrong. At the same time, we want to let GeekTyrant.com and Joey Power know that we're sure that there are times when they have excellent material and that we would not do this on a regular basis. So we look forward to having articles in the future that we can bring that are more positive and that we are more closely aligned with because they align with the truth. This is not one such article. Disney Snow White will have to make over $400 million to break even. Well, technically, that's true. It will have to make over $400 million to break even, but it's sort of like saying Disney Snow White will have to make more than a baker's dozen dollars to break even. That would also be true, but likewise, a little bit misleading. As Disney continues to have to deal with major PR issues due to Snow White star Rachel Zegler, Forbes has revealed that the budget for the film had ballooned to a massive $269.4 million by the end of 2023. Now, just want to say that appears to be the film's cost. Reverse that. That appears to be the film's budget, not the film's cost. In other words, it's what was budgeted prior to 2 reshoots and huge changes to CGI and all of that. Continuing on, that's not including the marketing costs, which could be between $100 and $200 million more. Correct. It's explained that the film will likely have to take in well in excess of $400 million worldwide to break even. So the pressure is on the movie to be a big box office success. Okay, here's where we're going to break down some stuff. Going back to this number, 269, we'll just call it 270 for the sake of simplicity. At $270 million, that was the original cost that was budgeted, but it is not the actual cost of the movie. With more reshoots, we believe that this has ballooned to at least $400 million and likely more. We'll find out over time. Exactly. That's what we believe. But for simplicity's sake and to be as kind as we possibly can be to Disney, we'll say that it's $400 million for now. Now, folks, we know that it's probably more. We know that. But we're doing this with as generous a take as we possibly can for Disney's fortunes. And we do that because that makes more people be able to agree with us than if we were to go into what is likely reality and say, oh, it's $500 million. We would lose a few who would say, no, you've gone too far. But if we're more conservative, we'll have more consensus. So let's say that after all the reshoots and CGI dwarfs that were not there before, and voice actors to play CGI dwarfs that were not there before, and bringing in essentially to redo an entire movie, let's say that they're at $400 million. And let's say that the marketing and advertising will split the difference. This says, where's this at? This says that it's going to be between $100 and $200 million, so we'll split the difference. We'll call it 150. At that, the total cost, not the budget, but the total cost for this film thus far would be $550 million. Now, Jonas, would you please explain to the audience how much Snow White would have to make back at the box office in order to break even if the total spend, marketing and production, is $550 million?
Well, the easy way to phrase it would be 2 times that amount. But if you want the nuanced version.
Yeah, we got to do the nuance so people can understand how we come up with this. We have new viewers all the time, and they need to know, how do we figure this out? Is it like rocket science? Is it astrophysics? What is this?
Well, so when you make a movie, it costs money, and when you send that movie out into the world, you have many different distribution options. One of them being the theater. Globally, you make even less money per ticket than you do domestically. On the domestic side, you probably make about 50% of the ticket price if you're the person who made the movie, and then the AMCs and the Kirasotis and the Cinemarks, they make the other 50% there. And then for international, it's about 25% that goes back to the US studio. And if it's, let's see, we say 50, 25, even less if it is in China here, which is probably where they're trying to appeal. I don't see a brown Snow White appealing in China. That's not me making a comment about my own proclivities, just the Chinese market here. There's also the fact that,
by the way, we would disagree with the way in which the Chinese market sometimes receives these sorts of things. So
right. You can be prepared for a black and white poster there for the Chinese market, like the way they did with Ariel, to try to put her under the sea to the point where you can't quite tell what that mermaid looks like.
Or like the way they did the Star Wars Force Awakens poster, where they reduced the size of John Boyega to hide him. Like, we find all that despicable, and I just want to put that in there so people don't confuse what you're assessing from the Chinese market with
right, or putting Black Panther in a mask for the Chinese poster. So
right.
Even though it is a face poster that they're putting him on there for. So anyways, we look at this and how much they would spend on marketing, and we're assuming our marketing figures based on the idea that Disney needs the film to be successful here. But basically, 2 times the amount that the film costs to make and right. also market.
Now I want to show you this, Jonas, because if taxes and theater cuts mean that Disney only gets back about half, and it's way less out of China, we take they need about a 2x. If we say then that at a $550 million cost, it was going to cost $1.1 billion, but we'll be super nice to them and bring it all the way back down to $1 billion. They need $1 billion to break even. I want to play this now, folks. I know this video is not brand new, but it's part of a pattern of Rachel Zegler, and this video was made while she was producing Snow White, because this video comes from 2023, and yes, they were working on the movie then. And I just want you to see why Disney is struggling to get people to want to go see this lady in Snow White. Here's the video. Some of you have seen it, some of you not. If you have not, prepare, because you're about to see what I believe to be a near pathological level of narcissism.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
your person,
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Girl, please.
Oh my God. Guys, I just I feel like all of my imperfections just make me so much more perfect.
This is the kind of person that first of all, it sounds like it's a monologue that she's reading off of the page here.
Badly.
This from 2023 is typical of her apologies. She comes through and she tries to make it about how she's actually a good person and you're all just haters, and any problem that you have with her is not something that she needs to work on. It's something that you need to work on, how you've received it. This is classic narcissism. This is theater kid mentality. She's been, in her mind, she has been the pretty theater kid her whole life, who is just not pretty enough, though, that she doesn't need you to understand she's still a normal person, but she's actually fantastic here. I can't imagine living a life trying to merge all of that into one worldview here. That is it. She was pointed towards this direction for a very long time. In her mind, she is the best. You're all losers. And the fact that you don't understand that, you need to be put into place. And if you don't know that, you need to feel bad about it. That's why she's pretending to cry in front of you. I'm sorry. No awards for acting here. This is an awful monologue. And if it's in the film, she needs to be mocked for it.
I'm going to be quick, and I'm going to hand it to the panel. Lorena, will come to you, or Erica, whoever would like to take the next swing at this. But I just want to say $1 billion. $1 billion is what they need. And the problem is that when she comes out and does this, essentially what it appears she's trying to say is that she is a goddess, but she is a broken goddess. But people will line up to see a broken goddess because that is where she stands, that is where she sits in the hierarchy of women and men. And that's why I think people are rejecting her in vast numbers.
Guys, I just want to prove that I'm like really a good person and I'm like not a narcissist, and I'm gonna do that by comparing myself to a priceless piece of artwork.
The name Llorona comes to mind, which is crybaby in Spanish.
Though, Erica, a lot of people that won't know what that is.
It's a crybaby in Spanish, Llorona.
Llorona,
That's what comes to mind.
Llorona, may I present to the jury?
Yeah.
This crybaby.
Pretty good. It's crocodile tears. It's exactly what it is. She wants you to feel sorry for her, but at the same time wants you to worship her at the same time. And granted, the short stint that I lived in Los Angeles, there are a lot of actors who will behave this way. But they're not living in the same world that we are, and normal people see this and are just like, no, this is absolutely crazy. Because if she's talking about people lining up or waiting in line to see her stuff, why did her movies do so bad?
Well, and that's another problem is she has yet to have a box office win, and now she needs to make $1 billion. She needs to make $1 billion.
Good luck with that.
She doesn't realize, or maybe she does, I don't know. She's so condescending every time she opens her mouth. And you can have a pretty face, but if you have a personality that's just like that, talking down to people and being so condescending, then you're not going to attract anybody to you or any of your work or what you do. It's a turnoff. You are not attractive based on your personality. You are not going to get off on your looks everywhere you go in life.
It's so unearned because she has so little success in Hollywood. If I can repurpose a joke that I made on Pro's channel before, Goku offered to fight Vegeta at opening night of West Side Story in the theater to prevent casualties to the innocent. It is the jack-o'-lanterns last longer in the fall than her projects. She is an absolutely abysmal Hollywood failure with no success to her name. The only movie she's ever been in that made money was that Hunger Games movie, and that's the lowest drawing movie in the history of Hunger Games. It's just so unearned. And with Jonas hit the nail on the head. It's theater kid syndrome, because I've been around enough of them to know they think of themselves on this pedestal.
Culture, I kind of blame Steven Spielberg for this. He found her, he put her in his movie. He kind of pulled her out of being an average person, and she doesn't have the maturity, I think, to be where she is. It's almost cruel, I think, to watch her flounder in this spotlight.
I think he set her up for failure by pushing her to the front in West Side Story. And speaking as a former riff in Same Said Musical, I can tell you she really underperformed in that in a way that made the underperformance of the film overall, tolerable. And, a lot of people have, high thoughts of her as a performer, and she does have a nice voice, but her acting is atrocious and she gets too much credit for it. She is yet to make a successful film in Hollywood, and a lot of people try to point towards the timing as far as the years go. But she really has too high an opinion of herself for having nothing to show for it.
I also look at it more in a deeper perspective. Her upbringing. You don't just become this way overnight. I'm sorry. What happened in her upbringing? Where are her parents? Because I got to tell you, if that were my kid acting that way, they would not get away with it. I don't care how old you are. Yeah. I would have some serious words for you. And you would
make up for the missing arms in the Wing victory with a rather swollen posterior is what you're trying to say. And I might point out to her,
Posteriors are in high demand, Lou.
if she's going to pick any cultural statue to compare herself to, picking one that's lost its head is unconsciously irrelevant.
Wow. Wow.
And, you know, you think
should have
that
done
like
the
with the
Bible.
theater with the theater kid syndrome, you know, when you're a professional theater kid, it's easy to see why some of them have this mentality that they are the center of the universe, because their parents' life eventually becomes carting them around to auditions, to rehearsals, and basically managing their career. So in their world as a child, that entire world revolves around them. So they assume the entire world in general revolves around them.
So these parents, do they not like check in with their kids' attitude and ensuring, you know, that they're not letting it go to their heads? I mean, if I were a showbiz parent like that, that would be one of my worst fears as my kid growing up in the business to be that. I would want to take every preventative measure in my parenting style to make sure they do not grow up to be that. It's an embarrassment to me as a parent. And I just don't understand. Like,
I'll just add this on, and Erica, I don't mean to cut you off. As
No,
someone
you're fine.
who's been raising a theater kid since birth, okay, I've been around a bunch of theater kids, and I've been around a bunch of theater kids' parents, and a lot of them are just, you know, oh, we have to coddle the star, you know, or whatever. And with Camera Girl, it's just like, no, you have talent. You have a gift to share with the world, but that doesn't make you more special than anyone else. You have talent, which is exactly, you know, what we're trying to build. But at the same time, you're not allowed to treat people like crap. You're not allowed to, you know, talk down to people. There's certain parents who are like me. I mean, I raised her in California, first couple of years of her life. I can't tell you how many casting agents would come up to me and they're like, "Oh, it's a shame you don't have two of them." It's just like, no. She's not going into that world. But it's obvious with Rachel's parents, either they tried and just failed because Rachel decided to do what the other theater kids were doing, or they possibly just, you know, coddled her that way and give her the special thing, you know, like the participation trophy. Everyone gets a trophy. You're not allowed to fail, you know, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, this is really.
I'm imagining her in the remake of Sunset Boulevard, where the plot difference is that the Gloria Swanson character never made it big. And she's living in this lonely hovel saying, "I'm still big. The pictures got small."
You know, it's just weird because, again, somebody that had this kind of a background, I can tell you none of the people that I knew at the time that were in any of the productions that I was in would have ever acted like this. I mean, everybody had, you know, a pretty decent opinion of themselves, but not to this extent. And again, this is a person who's basically got a handful of years in the industry. It's not very many. I mean, I think her first production was 2021. That was West Side Story. That was it, right? And then we got, you know, terrible Shazam movie, passable Hunger Games that didn't make money. And, you know, like I said, she's yet to be in something successful.
You know, I think if I can put a little bit of a maybe a final thought here, not to cut off everyone here, but she has a catchphrase that she uses sometimes, and as always. And I think really, if she went from commenting on geopolitical conflicts here, maybe she should change her catchphrase to "and as always, free chicken."
Oh, I thought
Yeah, weird.
Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video of pure excellence and fun. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve, that's what we hope you believe we've just done. And why should you believe it? Well, because we've done our very best to make it so. To be true, to be factual, and to do what the mainstream, so-called access journalists simply won't. Folks, you can help share this out across the fruited plains of YouTube by clicking the like button, share, subscribe. Click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we get ready to say sayonara for now, we ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep having fun.